AT suppose. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Yeah, I saw there was some people here earlier. Let's go, let's go, let's go. We need to understand some things about the war that we are losing while he's right now currently talking about that still obliterated and they don't have this, they don't have this, they don't have that, and you know, we won. Why they still bombing? Why is there nuclear missiles and stuff? Huh? If they don't have nothing, and China promised you that they wasn't going to do nothing, what's going off? What went off? Huh? And why Israel, who want this war for 20, 30 years, why they can't fight for themselves? I'm so sick of people trying to fight other people's battles. I mean, that's just the craziest stuff. Hey, Crystal. Yeah, Israel needs to be fighting, negotiating, you know, all of that on their own. Why we there? Why are we fighting this war? And Trump is still lying. Still lying. Defeated, depleted. All the air has been let out, and he's still going on. I mean, done got embarrassed. Everybody laughing. He done made deals around you. Done left you in the dirt, and you still trying to do this war for Bibi Netanyahu. Somebody else. Is it just what's in the atmosphere right now? People start stuff and need other people to fight their battles for them. Going dark, trying to fight other people's battles. Yeah, we are suffering in the United States because somebody else decided that they want to go to war with another country, and then the U.S. decides, okay, like a whole little wussy. Okay, whatever you say, okay, I got your back. I mean, okay. There's consequences with that. The United States is suffering because the person who started it can't fight their own battles. That's a problem for me. That's a problem. That's what's going on right now. And he's too proud. People are too proud to apologize and say, hey, I got it wrong. I don't need, no, but y'all still try to make a buck. 16 CEOs. Where is that at? I got it. Where is it? 16 CEOs went to China. For what? 16 CEOs. Maga. This is the Making America Great Again. They trying to get in there. They trying to make some slick deals. You know, compromising. Oh, here we go again. A bitter man. I know he is. Let me make sure I cut this down. Yeah. Making deals behind our back. 16 CEOs for 16 different reasons. And all of them is for their business. This is Maga, baby. And it's still funny to me. While they are removing our civil rights, black people still saying, well, I think that Maga... No, silly rabbit. You're not a part of those 16 people. World leaders in their businesses who have come together. They're still a part of the Making America Great Again, and that's making black folks slaves again. And that will include the white, the darker shades of the 50 shades of brown. You're so gullible. You still don't see the white paint, on the counterfeit. That's the mind-blowing thing. But I ain't gonna hold us because I'm already, y'all listening. There's 87 people in here in 6 minutes. Only 7 likes. Get the likes up. Stop ear hustling. Stop trying to hear what I'm gonna say about my uploads. I said what I needed to say. I said what I needed to say. For now. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. It's a mind-blowing thing, baby. Let people fight their own battles. Let countries fight their own battles. You know, when you type in the comment section, that's like putting your hands on people. When that man is up in the middle of the night saying all that foolish stuff, that's putting his mouth and hands on people. You're not saying it directly. And sometimes Trump do. But sometimes a lot of people do stuff in the wee hours of night, hoping don't nobody see it. But trust me when I tell you, somebody always catch it. Yeah. Stop putting your hands on people. Thinking they gonna let you make it. See, Trump went to China thinking old boy was gonna let him make it. They say he knew. Oh, that's what I was getting to. He said he knew before they got there what their plans was. And he wasn't having none of it. I said, oh my God, he knew. Yeah, he just baited them, lured them right on in there. Lured them. Lured him. And he took the bait. Invited people, and some people wasn't even invited. Name wasn't even on the list. It's like, what you doing here? Who are you? Huh? Who are you? Who told you you could come? Who told you y'all people have rules and guidelines? You going in foreign land? Yeah, your name ain't on no list. Yeah, 16, trying to find it. Lord, where did I put it? 16 CEOs with 16 different issues. That's cold-blooded. Saw something last night from foreign land, said breaking news live. 1 Iranian soldier fights against 10 Israeli and U.S. soldiers, all defeated. These people are not playing. This is not pity-patty, knick-knack, patty-whack, give a dog a bone. That's not what this is. These people are not playing with you. I need y'all to get the likes up. It's 109 people in here. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. We're not having it. Okay, let's pray. Y'all ready to pray? Are y'all ready to pray? Hey, self-made, let's go. I'm sorry I missed you. Hey, Be Rich. Y'all ready to go? Y'all better stop or people go dark on y'all. And it's funny because people, these folk, they call you old, you know. They got me looking up senior citizen laws. See if they breaking any. Yeah. Yeah, if they are breaking any senior citizen verbal, what is it called? Discrimination. Yeah. We going dark, right? Are they discriminating against senior citizens? Huh? Yeah, folks got to be careful. You're discriminating against senior citizens. How dare you? You know, I didn't consider myself one until, you know, you and your partners said I was. Yeah, so I got my eye on you. Let me see if you're going to understand the laws that you're breaking. You see something, say something. Did you see how Maga did Drake's album cover? I saw something, but I didn't do a lot of research on it. I didn't understand what that was. I didn't, but I need to research it? I'm stuck on how Trump is hating on black people because all these foreign countries is loving on Barack Obama and they don't want to fool with him. They won't bring Barack back. You need to make that happen. Thank you, Be Rich. I tried to tell him I don't care how old I am. I look younger than you and better than you, child. With very little effort. I ain't putting on all them fake. I ain't saying I ain't never won. I'm just saying at this age, I ain't doing all that. I'm just not doing it. When I found out how toxic the same mess that they put in our foods and everything, just everything. They put it in makeup too. And listen, I went to beauty school, so, you know, all of that type stuff, I just, I got cabinets full of different hair care products. I get, you know, makeup, top of the line, and they talking about perfume too, and I'm like, oh, Lord. Oh, not my Tom Ford. Which one I got? Black Velvet. I'm like, all of them. You know, my Cartier, just a lot. Just a lot of. Oh, they talking about how toxic the perfumes are. Just everything. So, as far as makeup, yeah, all them days of having a full face on, them days is over. I don't wear no powder, no foundation. You know, I do my eyebrows, some eyeliner, and lip gloss. Occasionally, very seldom do I put blush on my face. It's just so many things that they have created to tear us down. That's coming to light now. So, it is what it is. Let him pray for us. Let me see if this is going to be too loud. Do I need to cut this down? Y'all, please come in, hitting the like button. Let's go.
Can I pray for your Sunday?
Yes.
Dear God, I pray for the person that is listening to this prayer right now. God, on this Sunday, I pray that you surround them with your presence in a fresh way, in a powerful way. Let this be a day where their soul is strengthened, their mind is renewed, their heart is reminded that you are still faithful and you are still God. Lord, your word says in Nahum 1 verse 7, the Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knows those who trust in him. Thank you for being a safe place for them when life goes uncertain. Thank you that when the world changes, you remain constant. When people fail, you remain faithful. When they feel weak, you remain strong. Father, I pray that today they would feel your kindness in every moment. Let them notice your hands in everything around them, in every interaction, in every blessing, in every closed door that protected them, and every open door that is leading them toward purpose. Your word says in Zephaniah 3:17, the Lord your God is in your midst. The mighty one will save you. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you with his love. He will rejoice over you with singing. God, what an incredible thought that you rejoice over your children with singing. God, I pray that this person would truly understand how deeply loved they are. Quiet every anxious thought with your love today. Quiet every fear about their future. Quiet every insecurity, every burden that they have carried for too long. Lord, I pray Isaiah 30 verse 21 over them. Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. God, guide them today. Lead them clearly. Direct them in every decision that they make. Protect them from confusion and from rushing ahead of your timing. Let them walk with wisdom, with peace, and with discernment. Yes. Father, your word says in Habakkuk 3:19, the sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He enables me to tread on the heights. Give them a supernatural endurance for every challenge they are facing right now. I pray that this Sunday would bring restoration to their soul. Jeremiah 31:25 says, for I have satisfied the weary soul, and I have replenished every sorrowful soul. I pray Lamentations 3:25 over them. The Lord is good to those who wait for him, to the soul who seeks him. God, teach them to trust your timing. Give them peace while waiting. Let them know that delays are not denials and that your plans are still unfolding even when they cannot see them. Your word says in Micah 7 verse 8, though I have fallen, I will rise. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light. So I pray no disappointment, no failure, no mistake, no difficult season would keep them down. Lift them up again, Father. Remind them that with you there is always hope. There is always grace. There is always another beginning. Father, I pray that your favor would rest upon them today. Let goodness follow them everywhere they go. Let kindness meet them. Let divine opportunities find them. Let them walk in humility, in wisdom, and compassion, and in love. I thank you for sustaining them through every season that they have been through. I thank you for being right there with them. Thank you that they have survived. Thank you for every battle they didn't think they would make it through. Thank you for never leaving them and for never forsaking them. And today, above everything else, let them feel close to you. Draw them near, God. God, I thank you for all that you have done, all you're doing, and all that you continue to do. In the mighty name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. Have a blessed Sunday.
Amen. You too. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to know that that's out there and available for us to find the daily prayer that we can share with one another. I play. I mean, these people on YouTube play for entertainment purposes.
Every day.
But they're with this darkness stuff, folk talking about they went dark. It is indeed dark.
Knowing that our
there is darkness, and darkness is not of God. I mean, let's just be really, really clear. Now it's 91 people in here in 19 minutes. Now I need for y'all to come on in and hit the like button. I'm gonna pause. Get me some tea. I got some clove tea in there with some honey ready. I want it to be hot. And I want y'all to get y'all tea and get my lights up so we can go in and y'all can hear about these 16. We're going to start with the 16 CEOs that went to China with Trump. What they go to China with? For what? What they doing? What they sneaking? Did they announce that before they went? I don't think so. I didn't hear that. I knew he had some people. He had CEOs, you know, that was going for business. But baby, wait till we hear it. Give my lights up. Help me reach my goal. Give my lights up. Trump is mad at us because of Barack Obama. Well, he never liked us. Let's be clear. Okay, so y'all not gonna get the lights up? Can y'all go? Hey, Natural and Orleans. Yeah, come on, get the lights up. Y'all act like y'all didn't hear me. Y'all think I'm playing? I ain't playing with none of y'all. What it do? What it do? I need to get this. It ain't gonna act right. How you doing? So let's start with these. The summit. 16 CEOs went to China for 16 different reasons. Ain't that nothing? Oh, my volume down.
China can shut it down to.
I'm gonna go out and come back in. Is that all right? Y'all ready? I'm good. I'm good. I need to start putting that on Do Not Disturb.
Did you know Trump took 16 of America's most powerful CEOs to China, and every single one had a secret reason to be there? Here is each one and why. Number one,
secret
Elon Musk.
reason.
Tesla. Tesla's biggest
Y'all hear
factory is in
that?
Shanghai. China can.
A whole secret reason. Why does it have to be a secret?
Most powerful CEOs to China, and every single one had a secret reason to be there? Here is each one and why. Number one, Elon Musk. Tesla. Tesla's biggest factory is in Shanghai. China can shut it down tomorrow. Number two, Tim Cook. Apple. 90% of iPhones are made in China. No China, no iPhone. Number three, Jensen Huang. NVIDIA. Not even invited. Flew to Alaska just to board Air Force One.
Not even invited.
America blocked the sale. Number four, Larry Fink. BlackRock controls $10 trillion.
Not even invited, y'all. How you not invited but you there? And you think you finna just run all up in there and they gonna let you? I wonder is he one of the ones they had a scuffle with? Wasn't invited. They gon'
Did you know Trump took
Bogart.
16 of America's most powerful CEOs to China, and every single one had a secret reason to be there? Here is each one and why. Number 1, Elon Musk. Tesla. Tesla's biggest factory is in Shanghai. China can shut it down tomorrow. Number 2, Tim Cook. Apple. 90% of iPhones are made in China. No China, no iPhone. Number 3, Jensen Huang. NVIDIA. Not even invited. Flew to Alaska just to board Air Force One. China wants his AI chips. America blocked the sale. Number 4, Larry Fink. BlackRock controls $10 trillion in assets, wants access to China's financial markets. Number 5, David Solomon, Goldman Sachs. Goldman wants to expand banking operations inside China. Number 6, Jane Fraser, Citigroup. Same reason billions in Chinese banking locked out. Number 7, Kelly Ortberg. Boeing. China has not bought a single American plane in years. Boeing is bleeding without those orders. Number 8, Brian Sykes. Cargill. America's biggest agriculture company. Trump wants China to buy American food again. Number 9, Michael Miebach. MasterCard.
He want him to buy food again? Tainted food? I thought a lot of their food is banned in the, is banned. The chemicals and stuff that the U.S. put in their food is why would So you want them to buy tainted ass food, and their food processing system don't have all those toxins in it. Don't have human. Can't test for DNA. I mean, you know, this is crazy.
MasterCard is blocked from operating inside China. 1.4 billion customers it cannot reach. Number 10, Ryan McInerney. Visa, same as MasterCard, completely shut out of China's payment system. Number 11, Chuck Robbins. Cisco. China bans Cisco equipment from government networks. Billions in contracts gone. Number 12, Sanjay Mehrotra. Micron. China banned Micron chips last year. Wants that ban reversed. Number 13, Cristiano Amon. Qualcomm. Qualcomm makes chips for Chinese phones. Trade war almost destroyed the company. Number 14, Larry Culp. GE. General Electric wants back into China's energy sector. Number 15, Steven Schwartzman. Blackstone. One of the largest real estate investors in China. Wants political protection for his assets. Number 16, Dina Powell. Meta. Facebook is banned in China. 2 billion users Meta cannot reach. 16 CEOs. 16 different reasons.
What y'all think about that?
Truth. Every single one of them needs China more than China needs them. And Xi Jinping knew that before any of them landed. Who do you think walked away with a better deal? Tell me in the comments and follow for every update.
How y'all feel about that?
Trump took 16 of America's most powerful CEOs.
None of them has really nothing to do with us.
Reason to be there? Here is each one and why.
Nothing.
Number 1, Elon Musk. Tesla. Tesla's biggest
factory. Who can afford a Tesla?
China can shut it down tomorrow. Number 2, Tim Cook. Apple. 90% of iPhones are made in China.
That's spying.
No iPhone. Number 3, Jensen Huang. NVIDIA. Not even invited. Flew to Alaska just to board Air Force One. China wants his AI chips. America blocked the sale. Number 4, Larry Fink. BlackRock controls $10 trillion in assets, wants access to China's financial markets. Number 5, David Solomon, Goldman Sachs. Goldman wants to expand.
Ain't they in the Epstein file?
China. Number 6, Jane Fraser, Citigroup. Same reason billions in Chinese banking locked out. Number 7, Kelly Ortberg. Boeing. China has not bought a single American plane in years. Boeing is bleeding without those orders. Number 8, Brian Sykes. Cargill. America's biggest agriculture company. Trump wants China to buy American food again. Number 9, Michael Miebach. MasterCard. MasterCard is blocked from operating inside China. 1.4 billion customers it cannot reach. Number 10, Ryan McInerney. Visa, same as MasterCard, completely shut out of China's payment system. Number 11, Chuck Robbins. Cisco. China bans Cisco equipment from government networks. Billions in contracts gone. Number 12, Sanjay Mehrotra. Micron. China banned Micron chips last year. Wants that ban reversed. Number 13, Cristiano Amon. Qualcomm. Qualcomm makes chips for Chinese phones. Trade war almost destroyed the company. Number 14, Larry Culp. GE. General Electric wants back into China's energy sector. Number 15, Steven Schwartzman, Blackstone, one of the largest real estate investors in China, wants political protection for his assets. Number 16, Dina Powell, Meta. Facebook is banned in China. 2 billion users Meta cannot reach. 16 CEOs. 16 different reasons. One common truth. Every single one of them needs China more than
China. Baby, we in trouble. And he has made deals for Iran, with Iran. Let's talk about these 2 nuclear plants hit. 2 of them. Let's go.
Mode on Sunday as 2 nuclear. Donald Trump is panicking and is in full cover-up mode on Sunday.
Cover-up.
2 nuclear sites in the Middle East have exploded in the.
Did he say cover-up? So, more lies. Lies. I wish I could have seen in your eyes. Lies. Yeah, more lies, more cover-up, more deceit. It's just sad. That's all this man is about. Devil work. Let's go. Stop spinning. Let me refresh. Refresh.
Donald Trump is panicking and is in full.
Oh, wow.
Wait, how old is the new hire?
I don't know.
Shooting
But he
spree
literally
investigation.
uses Excel.
In Austin. Oh no.
Donald Trump is panicking and is in full cover-up mode on Sunday as 2 nuclear sites in the Middle East have exploded in the past 24 hours. In Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates, a nuclear facility was hit by a drone, and there is currently a fire there. Fire and rescue services are in Abu Dhabi responding this morning to a drone strike that resulted in a fire inside an electrical generator outside the inner perimeter of the Baraka nuclear power plant in Al Dhafra region of the UAE. Authorities right now are reporting no injuries, but we have the official statement right here from the UAE Defense Ministry. They say there were 3 drones that were in the direction of this facility, that they were able to strike down 2 of the drones, but one of the drones hit this nuclear facility. That nuclear facility is on fire. Then we turn to Israel. Yesterday, we saw a massive mushroom cloud after this explosion that was reported near the Stat Mika Air Base in Beit Shemesh. Israel claimed that this was a contained detonation and that it was pre-planned. There's a lot of red flags there in that there were no prior notices if you were going to do a contained detonation, and that it was pre-planned in Beit Shemesh. Israel claimed that this was a contained detonation and that it was pre-planned. There's a lot of red flags there in that there were no prior notices if you were going to do a contained explosion at a nuclear facility that results in a mushroom cloud. I'll show you some B-roll of what this looks like. You would normally tell the civilian population. And while Israel never announced this is their nuclear site, it is widely known that this is the area where they keep nuclear weapons. But Israel's going with controlled explosion at a civilian factory. Okay, so while Donald Trump says, oh, there's a ceasefire going on and we've moved on from epic fury, folks, in the past 24 hours, 2 nuclear sites in the Middle East are on fire. By the way, do you hear this being reported anywhere else? I mean, we can literally see the fires happening. So what is Donald Trump doing? Naturally, trying to start a war with another country, because this is what you do when you run a Ponzi scheme regime. You move on from one horrible problem by creating another horrible problem.
Right.
You move on from one set of war crimes to
Big
another
business.
set of war crimes. And what do? You follow your same Ponzi scheme playbook. You go to your propaganda regime media that works with you to create pretexts for your war crimes in Iran, and you just do it again right now in Cuba. I kid you not. Axios, Barack Ravid, the guy who, in my opinion, works with Donald Trump before the markets open, and then all of a sudden there's a massive breakthrough. Ravid denies that. Because I don't know. I think it's worse that he denies it and says he doesn't know. So you're just being used as a pawn. Let people form their own opinions about that. But now here's what Axios has reported. And like clockwork, you've got the Maga saying, aha, now we must invade Cuba immediately.
Wow.
Cuba, this is the story from this morning, exclusive Axios. Cuba has acquired more than 300 military drones and recently began discussing plans to use them to attack the U.S. base at Guantanamo Bay, military vessels of the United States, and possibly Key West, 90 miles north of Havana. Exclusive on what the Trump administration is thinking. Well, I'll cut to the chase what they're thinking. Aha, let's use this as a pretext to invade Cuba. We know that Ratcliffe, CIA Director Ratcliffe, was in Cuba at the end of last week talking about invading Cuba. We know that the Trump regime has issued, or will be issuing formally, an arrest warrant for the 94-year-old ailing Castro, who's no longer even really the day-to-day, he's not the day-to-day leader anymore, but the spiritual leader, I suppose, at this point. It's the same playbook that they used in Venezuela, the same playbook that they tried to use.
I'm back. I'm sorry. I had to
The
take
article,
that.
it says they
Let me
got
back it
their
up a little.
drones, and who's no longer even really the day-to-day, he's not the day-to-day leader anymore, but the spiritual leader, I suppose, at
Get the
this
lights
point.
up.
It's the same playbook that they used in Venezuela, the same playbook that they tried to use in Iran and failed, and now Donald Trump is moving on to Cuba and saying, by the way, if you read the article, it says they got their drones and they got all of this equipment from Russia. Donald Trump's a Putin bootlicker. Donald Trump's removed the sanctions on Putin. Donald Trump helps him. Donald Trump has removed, 4,000, 5,000 U.S. troops from Poland that were supposed to be deployed there. Trump attacks NATO, and then you're shocked? Shocked, I tell you, that Russia gave Cuba drones. Okay, Donald Trump allowed Russian ships to get through the U.S. blockade. As I said at that time, what do you think was in the ships in addition to aid to Cuba? You don't think they were going to bring drones and military weapons on there? Trump let the ship in. Remember when Trump let the ship? I have this blockade in Cuba. And Russia's like, yeah, we're going to get there to Cuba. And Trump's like, it's only a blockade when it comes to the United States' former allies, like Canada and Mexico and other countries that want to help Cuba. But we will let Russia in. And like clockwork, you've got the MAGAs out there making their posts. MAGA Republican Congress member Diaz-Balart, Congress member Jimenez, Congresswoman Salazar. These are the Cuban MAGA Republican Congress members who sold out their people in Florida. But now they go, right in time for the midterms, the Cuba war. Maybe that's how we'll get Latino voters back who no longer support Donald Trump. Do you see how stupid they think we all are? Right? They think we're all so stupid. In response to the Axios article, Diaz-Balart goes, Congressman, MAGA Republican Congressman, we've seen the threat drones pose in the Middle East. Now they are 90 miles from our shores and near critical infrastructure. It's clear that the Cuba regime is a national security threat. Carlos Jimenez, MAGA Republican. The regime in Cuba poses a dangerous national security threat to the United States of America. Congresswoman Salazar. The world has already seen what a hostile regime can do with drones, and those capabilities in the hands of the Cuban regime just 90 miles from Florida should concern every American. A dictatorship aligned with America's adversaries operating this close to our shores. Y'all were the ones, you're starving, whatever we think about the Cuban regime. But whatever we think, you are starving the people of Cuba to death with the blockade. And you are threatening war and total annihilation once again, not just on the Cuban regime, but on the people in Cuba. And then you go, oh my God, we've just learned that they have drones. Well, now we need to invade. The propaganda that comes out from this Trump regime is not even good propaganda. They just think that you are all that stupid. And by the way, do you hear corporate news talking about any of this? Wouldn't you think it's a big story? 2 nuclear sites are hit. Maybe that should be a big story. Creating the pretext for an invasion of Cuba with these drones, and Axios puts it out there. Then the MAGA Republicans, try to get the layup for their next war. And this is all absolutely related. Not to mention, you have 11 U.S. Air Force C-17A aircrafts leaving the Middle East towards Europe. The same exact mass departure pattern happened right before the U.S. and Trump and Netanyahu invaded Iran back in late February. This is going to be a never-ending war. What's the plan, Donald? What the hell is the plan? Oh, you're just going to try to social media post your way out of it? This is what Trump just posted. Bad Congressman Tom Massey voted against tax cuts, the border wall, our military and law enforcement. Actually, he voted against almost everything that is good. The worst Republican congressman in history. He voted for you most times. The guy's as conservative as you can get, right-wing as you can get, but MAGA ain't conservative. They're a Trump cult. And when Thomas Massey and Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Nancy May said, release the files to expose the child sex trafficking ring in the Epstein files, you, Donald, told Marjorie Taylor Greene, but that's all my friends. We can't do that. And then you and MAGA Republicans have systematically attacked the people who helped release the Epstein files. That right there, folks, tells you everything you need to know about this sicko predatory regime. Oh, and then Lindsey Graham is like, yeah, let's bomb Iran even more. Here's what Lindsey Graham had to say this morning.
And there's things we can do to hurt the energy infrastructure is their soft underbelly. If you go back to the fight, I put energy on top of the list.
So you're calling for strikes on the energy infrastructure, Senator?
I'm calling to hurt this regime. If you do the same old thing, you're going to get the same result. Hurt them more. Maybe they'll make a deal if you hurt them enough. But right now, I think they're trying to wait us out. I think they're playing games. And in the words of the president, I think they're crazy. I think he's right.
Senator...
And folks, that's why having an accurate media diet is so critical right now. And so I get my news, and I think you know this by now, from ground news, where I analyze what's being reported by right-wing media, what's being reported by left-wing media, what's being reported across the political spectrum, because I'm a data-driven person, and I want to see if certain media is pushing an agenda. I mean, I looked at this morning. Young Kyiv couple, Ukraine, killed in fierce Russian airstrikes, hope to start a family, mourners say. Very little right-wing coverage on this at all. Very little coverage in American media at all. You know I cover Ukraine almost every morning about how Russia very frequently also has escalated their civilian strikes. They've launched one of their ballistic missile strikes and drone strikes on Kyiv and Kharkiv and surrounding areas, killing many people. We've reported on that extensively here. But very little right-wing media covers this at all. And so I use Ground News to kind of track that. So Ground News is an app and a website that pulls in thousands of articles from around the world and organizes them by story to show you how's the left, how's the center, how's the right framing the story. For every story, there's a color-coded layout. It makes it easy to see the political bias of each source. I can filter for high factuality sources and see which sources are independently owned or owned by a large media conglomerate with corporate interest. This lets you compare reporting on the same issue in one place, so you can come to your own conclusions based on all of the facts. On this article, for example, I saw very little right-wing media was covering it. Ground News has this dedicated blind spot feature that I just used to show you that. I believe in Ground News so much. We're going to offer you 40% off the same Vantage plan that I use for my research every morning. So just click the link in the description right here. Go to ground.news/MTN, or you can scan the QR code up here.
The likes ain't went up. The people done came in and the likes ain't went up. I see. I'm not going to be here long. I see that already. It's all good. Y'all hit the like button or get out. Nope. Not at all. Not at all. I stepped away to talk to Scooter, and it's the same. It was 29 likes. Absolutely not. I was having fun doing what I was doing. Not to come back to this mess. Get the likes up. Send a cash app. Help me reach my goal. Do something. Did you hear me? Do you see my nice Naturally Norlands and Janet? Do you see them at Crystal asking y'all to hit the like button, double tap, support the platform? Please come. Please, as you come in, clean your feet. Yeah, your feet funky anyway. Clean your feet. Tap the phone twice. Or go to the top right corner and tap. You'll see the thumbs up. Tap it. Or get out. I don't care if you're here or not. What some people be hooping and hollering about how many people that's in their chat. I don't care nothing about that. I care about you hitting the like button and supporting my platform. So y'all can leave until I get to the amount of likes I have. It needs to equal the amount of people that's in here ear hustling. I got way too much to be trying to show y'all to get y'all on top, 10 steps ahead, But if you want to play dead to the truth, then go. I don't want to fool with you like that. I ain't in that type of mood. You just finished your bubble bath, Janet? Hey, bubble bath is contagious, baby. Ooh, yes, indeed. That Bathtub Chronicles. Hey, Room Shaker. Bathtub Chronicles, baby, is fun to me and relaxing and chilling. Yeah, you letting that rub off? Where me at? Come on, y'all. Get the lights up. Let's go.
There in the Washington Mall. And he's speaking with state regime media, which calls itself Fox. And he goes, look, I understand that people care about kitchen table issues. Little right-wing media was covering it. Right Ground News has this dedicated blind spot feature that I just used to show you that. This channel and get a clearer understanding of the world. Try out Ground News. Use the research tools that I use every morning to prepare. Speaking with state regime media, which calls itself Fox. And he goes, look, I understand that people care about kitchen table issues. We'll get there. We'll get to the kitchen table issues. As soon as we get this Strait of Hormuz opened, you're the reason it's closed. You're the reason it's closed, and you're the reason it's going to be closed probably this time next year as well, and the year after that as well, until we can get a competent leader in. Here's what Maga Mike says. Let's play it.
Here's a true story about a grocery store that's making healthy and sustainable living the new normal. Nick's mom, this is Nick by the way, struggled to find healthy food she could trust. The options? Complicated labels, questionable ingredients, a price tag that made healthy eating feel out of reach. So Nick and a team of overachievers created Thrive Market, an online-only grocery store with one mission: to make healthy, sustainable living easy and affordable for everyone. We don't carry everything, we carry better. Our products are held to the
So CBS News had some polling out this morning showing
a lot of lying today,
people are
y'all.
concerned. 67 say they are stressed about their own personal financial situation. You know that generally the incumbent is punished in the midterms, and people are feeling very uncertain about how they're doing personally. How do you campaign against that?
Well, this relates to the last segment. We were talking about the Strait of Hormuz. Really, all points lead back to that. Gas prices are too high because of that, and then that has an effect on how goods are transported to the grocery store and all the rest. So as soon as we get that straightened out, we will get back to the kitchen table issues, the economic issues that we put in place to make the economy grow.
And then MAGA Mike spreads this lie that you hear Trump say and MAGA say. The reason that the Strait of Hormuz remains closed is because Iran doesn't have any leaders. And because all of their leaders don't exist now, because we've been so successful, we don't know who to talk to. They have leadership. The Iranian regime is in place. The Islamic Republic is there. The IRGC is deeply interested. I know who all the leaders are. In fact, their leaders are being given heroes welcome at major international conferences. Every other damn country, Maga Mike, knows who Iran's leaders are. They're calling them. Europe's calling them on a bilateral basis. Everyone's calling Foreign Minister Araghchi, MD Ghalibaf, the parliament leader. Ghalibaf, I should say, has just also been named a special envoy to China following Donald Trump's disastrous visit. I know who's in the courts in Iran. I know who their parliament leaders are. Heck, I know who their spokesperson is for certain parliament members. I know why, because if you just do a modicum of damn research, you would all know this. So stop with the, they don't have any leaders. They don't have any leaders. When you lie and lie and lie, and everything is a lie, then all we can come to the conclusion is everything you say, no matter what you're going to do, is just based on Donald Trump's delusions of conquering everything so he can have people in his golden ballroom. I don't even know what the outcome here is. You're making us so much damn weaker. Here's what Maga Bike says. Let's play it.
This is not time for War Powers Act. Operation Epic Fury has been declared concluded, and it is, and now we're into a new project, and that is to get the Strait of Hormuz open. This is about diplomacy and negotiation. You don't have kinetic warfare right now. You don't have missiles flying around, and so we've got to allow the administration time to finish this and sort it out. And
how much time?
Well, we'll see. I mean, this is a day-by-day development. The president has his hands on this every single day. The Pentagon, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, everybody is involved. They're pushing it as aggressively as they can. The challenge has been in Iran, as I explain to everybody all the time, is we took out about 4 layers of leadership there. So they've needed some time to sort out who has the authority to get this straight. But I'm very optimistic about it. I've talked to allied nations around the world. They want to assist in this as well, getting commerce open so gas prices come back down to planet Earth. We get back to the economic issues and the conditions that we've set in place, the Republican-led Congress, to allow all boats to rise, so to speak, in the economy. We're excited about that.
What do you say to your Democrat?
And then you had Jameson Greer, the trade representative, making his rounds. And, you know, he's being asked, he's like, hey, what did you do on this trip to China? Like, what did we get? Because there was no deals announced. China's made clear that they've done no deals. They had preliminary discussions on soybean.
Release the Epstein files, national notice. That's just the bottom line.
29 million metric tons of soybeans. We didn't have to hear about whether or not they were buying soybeans. So when they stop buying soybeans and then buy half as many soybeans, that's not a win. When what we're talking about in Iran now is opening up the Strait of Hormuz, which was opened before, that's not a win. It's these loser, entitled, privileged, you know, whatever you want to call these people, you know, Trumpers, who describe the biggest loss as a victory, and they want like a participation trophy in geopolitical situations.
And
it's
refused. I'm gonna tell you, they were so pissed. Baby, they left all the parting gifts that China rolled up to the plane as they was departing. They were so mad. They didn't take not one of the gifts. They said that not one of their gifts made it to the plane. No deal. We don't want nothing from you. We couldn't get no deal. We couldn't get y'all to let us renegotiate some of the things that you done snatched. We don't want none of it. You don't have me a trophy in there. You're not patting my back. You're not stroking my ego. I'm not bloating with gleam. I don't want none of that shit. When has Trump turned down parting gifts? Huh? Any type. He refused to stroke his ego, and it was just, I mean, all the energy just let out. Just deflated and defeated. I don't want this. I want a deal. I need to be able to come back and say something. The whole world's laughing at me. You did it. Yeah, he manhandled you. Yeah. Yeah, you was defeated with that handshake, and he wouldn't let that ass go. He yanked you to him. Bring that ass here. Yeah. Yeah, he outplayed y'all. He beat y'all at your own game. That's why I said none of these people are the cabinet. Where's the cabinet? That got to talk the Secretary of Treasury, him, Rubio. I mean, but all them other people, yeah, they were a part of the New World Order crew. This shit is funny to me. It's funny.
You even talking about? Here's what Jameson Greer, Trump's trade representative, has to say. Let's play.
Products. The conservative Wall Street Journal editorial board questioned whether the summit achieved any of the stated wins because of how vague these things have been. They said Mr. Trump boasted about fantastic Chinese purchases of U.S. soybeans and aircraft, but China didn't confirm the sales. And by our count, this is the second time China has bought the same American soybeans, or is it the third? They're kind of arguing you're playing a shell game here with like re-announcing past deals on past agreements to purchase over a period of time. Can you answer these conservative skeptics with any specifics?
So first of all, we've had a deal in place with the Chinese since October that they would buy 25 million metric tons of soybeans each year for the rest of the president's administration. So that deal is still in force. What we expect with the new purchase agreements, where the specific number will be announced very soon, double-digit purchases of aggregate agricultural products. When I say aggregate, I mean everything else. That could be soybeans, that could be beef, that could be grains, that could be dairy products, all kinds of things. So we have the existing soybean deal that they may be referring to, and then over on top of that, we have these agricultural products as well, and all of that will be facilitated by Board of Trade discussions with the Chinese.
I have a challenge for you. I want to know if you'd like to write a book, your own book, in only 10 weeks.
So still not nailed down, just an aggregate agreement.
And then Lindsey Graham makes it very clear this morning that it is the Trump cult, that MAGA Republicans, if you don't pursue the Trump agenda, and the Trump agenda is hide the Epstein files, then we will target you and we will kick you out of the Republican Party. So Senator Bill Cassidy, who voted for impeachment to Donald Trump, he lost his primary, and now they're targeting Thomas Massie with, $40 million in the primary, with a candidate who refuses to even debate Massie, because Massie had the audacity to call for the release of the Epstein files and was instrumental in that. So now you're disloyal. Here, play this clip.
News overnight. Senator Bill Cassidy losing his primary in Louisiana.
You like little boys.
Closely with Senator Bill Cassidy on a range of different issues,
allegedly,
including
in the Epstein
a plan
file.
to replace Obamacare. He, of course, voted to convict President Trump back in 2021 in the impeachment trial. Now he's lost his seat. Are you glad that Senator Cassidy is no longer going to be your colleague, Senator?
No, I like Bill. I thought he's a great senator, but he made a political decision. He voted to impeach President Trump, which would have ruined his political life. He could never run for office again. Massey's on the ballot Tuesday. He votes against Trump all the time. What's the headline? Trump strong. Those who try to destroy Trump politically, stand in the way of his agenda, are going to lose. Bill made a decision. What would LBJ do? Is it natural for a politician to go after people who try to destroy their political life? So Bill Cassidy's lost because he tried to destroy Trump. Massey's going to lose because he's trying to destroy the agenda. You can disagree with President Trump, but if you try to destroy him, you're going to lose, because this is the party of Donald Trump.
And then finally, we've heard from Donald Trump's acting attorney general. What's their big agenda? Folks, they're focused on the 2020 election. And now our DOJ is doing a lot of work to make sure that they can prove to you Trump really won in 2020. And the 7-8 million votes that Biden won by, it was all one big mirage. And every one of these court cases that federal judges, Trump judges, George W. Bush judges, Reagan judges, and Democratic judges, that all these judges saw, they didn't really have the facts. You know who has the facts? The people who have the facts are the people who were hiding the damn Epstein files. Trust the Epstein class. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'm not going to trust the Epstein class. You are a bunch of frauds, con artists, losers, pathetic
Absolutely.
individuals. Play this clip.
Hiding what they're doing. And so that's why we're very focused on finding out whether the right people voted, whether people who were supposed to vote voted, whether there was one vote cast per voter. And that's what we're doing in multiple states. And I expect, and again, people, you'll say to me, how long is it taking? Why is it taking so long? And the reality, the answer to that is because it takes a lot of work to uncover what happened in 2020. It takes a lot of old, good old-fashioned law enforcement police work, which is
all you have to do is ask Putin,
prosecutors
and he'll tell you
well.
that he fixed it. All you have to do is get their asses lie detector
As
test.
soon as we have something to say for it, whether it's charges, whether it's a report, whether it's the results of an investigation, the American people will learn about what we've uncovered.
Yeah. And this is how this Fox segment that ends with Maria Bartiromo saying, all right, we're going to find out 2020, huh? That's what Americans care about. We're going to find out 2020.
Oh, I can't stand her voice.
Yeah, we're going to find out 2020. Dude, what are you talking about? Americans just want their health care. Americans just want to be able to afford things, be able to afford gas and afford groceries. 2020, huh? 2020. Here, play this clip.
The election was stolen.
I'm not going to promise there's going to be a definitive answer. That wouldn't be fair to you or anybody else, but we are looking at it and we're hoping to get one.
Todd, Blanche, we appreciate your time and your work. Of course, our audience is very...
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. You may think you're subscribed, but you may not.
Hold on. He got another one that I need to play right quick before I go to another one. But let me hear this.
Every committee that I serve on as a member, and not just me, but every black elected official in Tennessee has now been removed from their committee. But I say to hell with these committees. You cannot take away our voice. When I walked into the House floor last Thursday, it was 2026. And when I walked off the House floor, it was pre-1965. Just yesterday, I received a letter from the Speaker of the House of Tennessee removing me from every committee that I serve on as a member. And not just me, but every black elected official in Tennessee has now been removed from their committees. This is what we mean when we're facing a new system of Jim Crow inequality.
Donald Trump and Republicans know their agenda is unpopular. Their skyrocketing prices are unpopular. Their party is unpopular. They are rigging the maps and blatantly racially discriminating and gerrymandering. What happens in moments like these, when our rights are stripped from us, that we don't back down, we fight harder. When courts weaken voting rights, it becomes our responsibility to fight even harder to protect every person's freedom to vote and to have their voice heard.
We are facing real forces that are very intent on being enemies of multiracial democracy. This is not political tit for tat. This is racial retaliation. Whether they wear white sheets or black robes in the Supreme Court, we must call out white supremacist terror. Whether they wear suits and have titles, and do it in the nice demeanor of decorum. What is happening is policy violence. And so the Speaker kicked me off my committee, but I said to hell with these committees. You cannot take away our voice. You cannot silence the voice of a people who will not bow down. We are not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back. We are not going back.
So ain't. But that's why they got ICE. That's why they got ICE.
But I said to hell with these committees. You cannot take away.
Let me go to the next one.
He's tripping out, racist ass bitch.
Yeah,
keep walking up.
Ooh. What? Let me.
He's tripping out, racist ass bitch.
Oh Lord.
Keep walking up on me, nigger.
Oh. Oh Lord. Oh Lord, 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 Lord. Let me see what this one is. Civil rights. Let's go. Y'all. Now, what's the deal, Pickle? Hold on. Let me go out. Yeah. Now, I'm trying to be nice, and my tea sippers are asking me why these folk ain't hitting the like button. Why am I not getting support? Why you're not helping me reach my goal? And when my tea sippers start getting irritated and frustrated with you, then I'm going to get irritated and frustrated with you. So I do know how to get you up out of here. I hate to go that route, but I need for you to leave if you're not going to hit the like button. And if I have to remove myself to make it happen, I will do that. And so I'm going to do it. Here I go. Let's go.
So Donald Trump hasn't forgotten about that. That's what Donald Trump obsesses over. Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana is a disloyal disaster. His entire past campaign for the Senate was about Trump, how he's with me all the way, and then after winning, he turned around and voted to impeach me for something that's now proven to be total bullshit. He knew that at the time, but didn't care. Bill Cassidy's a sleazebag, a terrible guy who's bad for Louisiana. Now he's going to get clobbered, hopefully, in today's big election by two great people. Vote today for Julia L. She's a winner who will never let you down. I love Louisiana, won it all 3 times and got most of the votes in history. And so, by the way, Bill Cassidy enabled people like RFK Jr. to get their positions to lead the Department of Health. Bill Cassidy is a former physician. He knows better. He knows better than all of this. Yet, he was, trying to appease Donald Trump after, voting to impeach Donald Trump. And this is where it gets you, everybody. This is where it gets you. All right, let me share with you, though, what's going on in another congressional district out here in California's 40th congressional district. Because of the redistricting after Prop 50, California's 40th now merged 2 Republican congressional districts. So now you have MAGA Republican Congresswoman Young Kim and MAGA Republican Congressman Ken Calvert. They're running against each other. So let me show you what this MAGA civil war looks like. Watch this ad by Young Kim attacking Ken Calvert, and she goes after him for like prostitutes. She goes after him for for having women service him. Watch this. Here, play this clip.
Kim, I approve this message. Ken Calvert, named among Congress's most corrupt, but he's not just swampy, he's sleazy. Calvert got busted with a prostitute, pants down in his car, tried to flee, then lied to police. No wonder President Trump can't trust Calvert. He betrayed MAGA too. Spent hours.
Well, so did Trump. Who was this lady?
I approve this message. Ken Calvert, named among Congress's most corrupt, but he's not just swampy, he's sleazy. Calvert got busted with a prostitute, pants down in his car, tried to flee, then lied to police. No wonder President Trump can't trust Calvert. He betrayed MAGA too. Spent our money on sex changes for kids, got sex for himself while fleecing taxpayers, screwing us, servicing himself, sabotaging Trump. Ken Calvert, what a sleazebag.
And just take a look at this completely crazy and defamatory ad in Kentucky's 4th Congressional District, Massey's seat, where you have the MAGA Republican candidate and all these PACs. They put out this video with AI to make it look like Massey is going into a hotel room with Ilhan Omar and AOC. It's like a really disgusting ad. Here, play this clip.
They're dirty.
Here.
Thomas Massey caught in a throuple in Washington. He's cheating with the squad on the America First movement. Massey voted with the squad against Trump's tax cuts. Massey voted with the squad against finishing Trump's wall. He voted with them against hiring new border agents. Well, this is worse than adultery. It's a complete and total betrayal of President Trump and Kentucky conservatives. On May 19th, fire Thomas Massey. MAGA Kentucky is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
Oh, by the way, Ed Gallerin apparently was following OnlyFans models. An account named Elena European RIA. I don't know. This may be like an AI OnlyFans.
Did I slow this
I really don't know
down?
one way or the other. I'm not going to click the link, okay? But Ed Gallerin caught following OnlyFans model on Instagram, okay? And then, as I noted before, there's a MAGA Republican candidate who is just like completely missing right now. Like nobody knows where this individual
Right, Miss.
is. His name is
Let's
Tom Keene
let's
Jr.
release the
And
files.
like nobody knows where
They're doing
Tom
all
Keene
this
Jr.
because of
is
the Epstein.
from
Hey,
New
Marie.
Jersey. Watch as
I
MAGA
will.
Mike is asked by members of the press. This is from Manu Raju.
Very incompetent.
Where's
Hey,
Tom
Belinda.
Keene Jr.? He's a guy who's missing. There may be some issues with his health. Nobody knows where he is. Let's play this clip right here.
Tom Keene's constituents deserve to know where.
Okay.
Do Tom Keene's constituents deserve to know what's going on with him?
Tom Keene has a medical issue, and that's all.
Now he talking
I know
slow.
about it. It's all I can say about it.
You haven't spoken to him about it? Have you spoken to him?
I have spoken to him about 2 weeks ago. I'd reached out to him to check on him, and he called me, and we had a short, very positive conversation.
I can
He
do
sounded
it. Let
great.
me
He
see.
was, it's out on a medical issue, and he'll be back.
Let me get
as soon as
there.
possible.
Can you continue to serve?
That's the full extent
Now
of
he's
what I know about
stumbling.
it. It's a personal thing, and obviously I told him that we're praying for him, and he needs to get back as soon as he can.
Can you run for re-election? Can you run for re-election?
Of course he can. Of course.
Of course he can.
Of course. He's been an extraordinary representative for his district, and he comes from a great long line of public servants who have an extraordinary reputation in that state, and he's going to do a great job. So, like everyone, sometimes things happen that are out of our control. We have medical issues. We got to deal with them. So that's what this is.
If you have a yellow aura, you are a narcissist. What aura color do you have? You've probably noticed it. People react.
So yes, a MAGA Republican Congress member from New Jersey, Tom Keene Jr., is literally missing right now. MIA. I want to bring in the Democratic candidate who's running against Thomas Keene Jr. Her name is Rebecca Bennett, and Rebecca Bennett is a former U.S. Navy helicopter pilot, an officer in the Air National Guard, a business leader in healthcare, a mom of two, and as a Navy helicopter pilot, she led missions flying a helicopter in the Strait of Hormuz to help ships with safe passage there. So I think a very important person to have in Congress right now, whereas the MAGA guy is missing. No one knows where he is. Let's bring in the interview that I just did with Rebecca Bennett, who's running for New Jersey's 7th Congressional District. I want to ask her a lot about the Strait of Hormuz issues as well. She was a Navy helicopter pilot. Let's bring in my interview with Rebecca. Rebecca Bennett, great to see you. Rebecca, you were a Navy pilot, a helicopter pilot. You flew over the Strait of Hormuz. You've led teams over the Strait of Hormuz. You're running against MAGA Republican Congress member Tom Keene Jr., prolific stock trader who's also gone missing. No one knows where he is. He's like disappeared for 2 months. His staff says, don't worry, he's around, but like he's not voting. No one's seen the guy. So that adds another interesting wrinkle to this race. But this is one of the districts when people are saying that Democrats should be able to flip congressional districts. Your district, New Jersey's 7th, is viewed really as kind of a big bellwether, a seat that people are very excited about your campaign. So we've got a lot to discuss, in other words. But I guess first, since you and I talked, that predated Donald Trump, Netanyahu going into Iran, the invasion of Iran, and now the Strait of Hormuz is closed. As a Navy helicopter pilot, and you led teams in that role as an officer, you know a thing or two about that region. So as we're doing this interview, what's your perspective on just what's going on there right now?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me back on. It's great to see you. And, I'll just say this is really personal for me. I flew and I was in the Navy for over 15 years, and I deployed to the Middle East in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, which was the Afghanistan war. And I personally flew and led missions through the Strait of Hormuz, where it was my helicopter in between the Iranian ships and the aircraft carrier to make sure we had safe passage through that airspace and water space. And, I'll just say anytime we're going to go put American service members in harm's way, there needs to be a clear motivation, clear objectives, and a clear exit strategy. And we haven't seen any of that from this administration. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is that they are learning in real time that is much easier to start a war than it is to stop one. And so I think that's why it's important we have people that understand the stakes of this and are going to be able to go hold this administration accountable for what they're doing over there.
Yeah, it seems that I don't want to call it a plan, whatever they're doing just seems to be just coming up with branding names for it. So we had Midnight Hammer last June where they said total obliteration, but then we had Epic Fury, which was to stop the uranium enrichment, even though there was total obliteration from Midnight Hammer. Then they said Epic Fury smashing success because Trump says it's genius. We gave them the Strait of Hormuz, and that now helps our oil companies here. Then they had Project Freedom, which lasted, 12 hours, 15 hours. And then they had Project Freedom Plus, which never even actually happened. And now they're talking about Operation Sledgehammer. You've actually, as a helicopter pilot, led teams to help give free passage over the Strait of Hormuz. So you knew how predictable it was that if this war was started, Iran would try to stop that safe passage because you've dealt with the issue of safe passage. Talk to us about that a little bit and what it actually means, though, to give safe passage, you as a helicopter pilot, and why right now we can't give safe passage. Like, how come we were able to do it when you were a Navy helicopter pilot, but now all of a sudden we can't do it?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just to your point, this was obviously the first thing that Iran was going to do. As soon as we entered this conflict, this was abundantly clear that they were going to shut down the strait. And so the Trump administration should have planned for this as a contingency.
They ain't playing for nothing.
That's number one. And then
he was on the golf course.
Is about the fact that it's much more difficult to be able to ensure that we have passage through it now. This is all open source information, but we're seeing that there's mine laying capability that Iran is doing. And, I think this is something else that is important that we think about as we look to take back the house is warfighting looks different in the 21st century. And what we're seeing right now is a lot of asymmetric warfare where there's a lot of use of drones and low cost equipment that Iran is using. We saw this in Ukraine as well with kind of Russia. And so I think it's important we really think about what does our warfighting look like, because some of the other information that we've seen is that we've depleted our munitions. It's going to take us years to be able to rebuild and, millions of dollars to be able to rebuild the munitions that we've depleted with this war. So I think it's also about thinking strategically about the impact and what we've done to our military readiness from, a long-term perspective as well.
What caused me a lot of concern is in the back of my mind, I would say, this Trump regime, they lie about everything. They're out of control. I can't trust them.
They can't help themselves.
You know who I can trust?
Because don't nobody know what they fired everybody who knew what they were doing.
Admiral Brad Cooper and CENTCOM, they're going to give us accurate information. But sadly, what I've been finding is I don't know if Trump's writing the CENTCOM tweets or the posts, but CENTCOM hasn't really been given a lot of accurate information out there like I thought they would. And when Brad Cooper was testifying before the Senate and Senator Gillibrand was questioning him, he was asking him, well, what do we know about any other incidents involving, hospitals or schools? And he goes, well, we don't know any of that.
Nothing.
She goes, well, are you looking into it? And he goes, no, we're not looking into it. Do you want to look in? So your basis that we didn't do these things is that you're not investigating it when there are these major reports in the New York Times. And so I guess my fear is that is this Trump regime stuff now leaking into all this other just basic functioning stuff like the blocking and tackling that CENTCOM's supposed to do. Of course, we should be investigating if there are war crimes and civilian deaths happening. We should be transparent about that.
Yeah, and I'll just say for me, this is an area where I have friends that are still serving on active duty, and I certainly talk to them about this. And I know that all of us took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, and so I do have confidence in our military officials to make sure they are going to uphold their oath. But also,
but your
I think
president,
it's important to recognize this is really taking a massive toll on our service members.
That's why he's bypassing
one of the
them.
aircraft carriers, the Ford, just did the longest deployment since the Vietnam War, where they were underway for over 300 days. And it's really hard to explain what toll that takes on a crew, on individuals, on the ship itself. But to be underway at sea for that long of a period of time, I mean, the longest I was deployed was around 10 months, and that's a really long time to be gone. And so, we're just putting an incredible burden on our service members. And for what? I mean, what are the objectives here And we still have yet to see an actual plan from the Trump administration on what they're going to do on.
And so
they
are taking unlawful orders.
What we're seeing is that what Donald Trump and Tom Kean Jr. and all these other people ran on was lowering cost of living and no more forever wars. And this is the exact opposite. And so to me, it's about holding them accountable for, what they're doing.
Rebecca, let's talk about this congressional district that you're running in. Tom Kean Jr., MAGA Republican Congress member, MIA, prolific stock trader, seems to be using this position to help himself while hurting the people of New Jersey's 7th. Talk to us about what you're hearing in this congressional district right now, because, people may be fascinated. Wait a minute, New Jersey elected this MAGA guy who's a Trump extremist. And, people don't think of New Jersey, but he promised, I'm going to make it more affordable. Your life's going to get much better. Here's all the great things you're going to do. And frankly, it feels exactly like what Trump did to Atlantic City in the 90s, to the 7th and throughout all of Jersey. So talk to us about that. Are people waking up?
Yeah, I think they are. And, I will just say that, Tom Kean Jr. has been pretty notorious for this for, a long time. And actually, when he ran a couple of cycles ago, he had a secret website where he had one version for conservatives and one version for everybody else. And he literally had two different policy positions. So he had on the regular website, he was pro-choice, and on the conservative website, he was pro-life. And so I think it's like, what do you actually stand for? What do you
standing
believe
in the
And
middle?
so from
That's deceit.
you mentioned on the corruption piece, that was something that he ran on very
Playing the
strongly
end against
about
the
saying
middle.
he was going to put all of his assets in a blind
You ain't
trust.
solid.
Shocker, he did not, in fact, actually do that. And, I'll just say, I've signed on to the End Citizens United Pledge, which is getting dark money out of politics. I'm not taking any corporate PAC money. I also believe very strongly that we need to ban members of Congress from trading stocks. It's just insider trading. They should absolutely not be able to do it. And so, I'll just say for me personally, I've already divested all my individual stocks. I think you should practice like you preach. And, just to the corruption piece too, only 4% of his donations are small dollar donations. Whereas, I'm very grateful. I've had over 13,000 people donate to my campaign, and 93% of my donations are $100 or less. And so we are seeing a ton of grassroots support and momentum and enthusiasm to be able to flip the seat and actually send some principled, ethical leadership down to Washington.
The new ad that you had that was just released is called For Them. And it talks about how you're running for your daughters to fight back against lawlessness and corruption. When I'm recording, I sometimes will hear my daughter in the background. She'll knock on the door. When I think beyond political party, Democrat, Republican, and Independent, I've always been kind of preaching on this network. It's also just kind of for them. And I think tragically, their generation and people older, all they've seen is kind of Trump, and kind of Trump, again, and they don't realize that when we talk about things like the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, campaign finance, the creation of the EPA, these were not some like, whoa, lefty, liberal, whatever concepts. I mean, the EPA was created under Nixon. The Civil Rights Act was bipartisan. Campaign finance was McCain and Feingold. And so there was a time where Democrats and Republicans would come to compromises and create things that would make the country a better place. And that doesn't exist. And I don't even think for them even realize that can exist again. And I want them to know there actually can be a world where we function and we have set aside the politics, smart people, grown-ups, adults, compassion, empathy, and not the bullying and the hate and the cursing and the spewing and the nonsense. So I'll give you the final word on that piece because I think it's so important.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, my background, I have the Vote for Mom sign, which one of my daughters made for me. But, I'll just say that I 100% agree with this. And I will just say this was one of the first things I thought about when we saw that Donald Trump was going to get reelected is this is who's going to be president when my oldest daughter is learning about civics. And he's a bully. And to me, it's about we need to have good role models for our kids. And I think that you can be strong and kind at the same time. They're not mutually exclusive. And having empathy is not a weakness. And so to me, it's exactly what you said, which is I think people are exhausted by this. And they're looking for, principled, ethical servant leaders that are going to be able to go actually get stuff done. And also, at the end of the day, we're all Americans and we're on the same team. And we do just want what's best for our kids. And so I'm still optimistic that we will be able to move past this era of division and polarization and ultimately make sure we're leaving stuff better off for our kids, because that's what I think we all want.
Rebecca, where can people learn more about the campaign? Anything else you want to say to our 7 million subscribers?
Yeah, well,
They made
first
it.
of all, thanks again for having me on.
Congratulations,
It's great to see you.
Ben.
If people want to learn more, they can go to my website, RebeccaBennettForCongress.com. Please make sure to follow me on social. I'm Rebecca for NJ07. If you guys are able to chip in, that would be super helpful. But yeah, it's great to be back on, so thank you.
Rebecca Bennett.
Okay, so let's move it on. So I'm not going to be here long. I see that now. Hold on. Upgrade. Okay, what I got next?
In 2014.
This is the, hold on, because I have 2 of them. Hold on. Let's talk about the black on black with the civil rights. Let's go. Y'all get the likes up. Oh yeah, they tried to arrest him. Hold on.
In 2014, a Texas
Okay, so
billionaire.
that's it. Okay. Okay, hold on. Oops. Yep. Go ahead and leave. Go ahead and leave, please. Go ahead and leave.
They don't want you to know about it.
Hey, did you know you might get a big cash payout if you were in a car accident up to 1 year ago, even if you weren't driving? Just click the...
Hello, how are you, sir?
I'm hanging in there, still in the fight. Glad to be with you.
I'm so glad you're here.
Dang, I
Thank you
was
for
trying
being.
to get his
I want to
picture.
bring in Rep. Justin Pearson, a hero to many of us. Hello, how are you, sir?
I'm hanging in there, still in the fight.
Baby.
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here. Before we start, you have been, oh my gosh, you have been on the front line. Yeah, take that breath.
Yeah, he got his
You have been
job.
on the front line
His seat
for the last couple of years now.
taken from him.
With the gun battle, being ousted out of the House and then coming back in, and they tried to humiliate you. And you are standing for the people, and you're so fierce. Guys, let's show this pic of Rep. Justin Pearson confronting someone.
Oh yeah, he was.
Now,
Oh, this is
tell
another
us,
one.
what was this? What happened here?
There was a Senate hearing about the majority black district, Memphis and Shelby County, which I represent in the Tennessee House, which I'm running to represent in the United States Congress, being and facing racist redistricting. I went inside of the committee. I left the committee only to tell the organizers and advocates outside, hey, don't hit the walls because they're trying to close the committee down if we do that. And I walk back in and get ready to walk back in, and a sergeant at arms tells me, well, the senator has said no members of the House are going to be allowed into this committee hearing. And that's the moment that confrontation was captured.
That's powerful. So you're trying to run for Congress, and this redistricting would shut you out, correct? Because one, you're going up against the incumbent, but it would also prevent you really from getting from representing the community that you have represented and so loved you already, correct?
I mean, it is taking away our community of interest of Memphis and Shelby County, which I've been born and raised in, and it's cracking it into thirds. But the truth is, we're still going to run for District 9, which is going to have parts of Memphis, Orange Mound, Hickory Hill, Whitehaven, areas around the airport, and it's just opened us up to be able to go to Fayette County. us to be able to go to Williamson County and share our story and the issues that matter and impact our community. People are exhausted by this administration. They know the policies aren't working, and what works and what people want to hear in Memphis is actually the same thing they want to hear in Maury County. Somebody's going to increase their wages, make sure they get access to health care, stop the violence and the vitriol and the hate-filled rhetoric and actions of this administration. Just yesterday, we had somebody in our city get killed by a DEA agent who was given a warrant. Like, we're tired of this, and it doesn't have to be this way. And so we're still campaigning, still working, and there's a pathway to victory because we don't run campaigns that we can't possibly win. And that's what we're doing right now.
So tell me about the exhaustion. We know about, we hear about the Black exhaustion, but what are white people who are complaining and trying to decide whether they're ready to leave the stronghold of Donald Trump in red Tennessee to come to you, a Black man who is totally juxtaposed to Donald Trump and his policies?
I mean, they realize what you and I and every Black person realizes, none of the promises he made actually worked. No one is dealing with less money that they're having to spend because he somehow lowered prices. Everybody's dealing with higher prices at the grocery store.
He lied about
higher
everything.
Prices at the gas pump because of the war with Iran. Everybody is dealing with skyrocketing healthcare costs and billionaires polluting our communities with their data centers for their own profit gains without any care or concern about the communities that they're in. And a lot of our Republican areas also have crypto mining that is coming to their areas, using the drinking water to cool the plants and to cool the facilities. And so there's a lot of similarities between our community that they don't want us to see. You know, they, as it said, they want us to look left and right and not up and down because the people at the top, they are benefiting while the rest of us are suffering.
Inflation, the economy, healthcare, the war in Iran, I mean, you name it. Are those some, and gasoline prices, grocery prices, that's in the economy. Are those some of the top issues in Tennessee that you're dealing with?
Absolutely, they're the top issues. I don't know if you know this. Our minimum wage is still the federal minimum wage, $7.25.
Oh, wow.
We have to increase it. Tennessee has the highest number of people who suffer under medical debt in the United States of America. A lot of people are literally deciding between utility costs and paying for medicine because our utility costs skyrocketed 12% over the last 12 months. We are in a literal crisis, and poor communities, Black communities, rural communities are the ones that feel it the most. And so whether you're white, you're Black, you're Asian, you're Latino, the message that we have had in our campaign since the beginning still is going to resonate. It's just going to require a little bit more gas money, but nothing is going to stop us in our pursuit for democracy, opportunity, and representation. And now they just made 3 districts competitive against Republicans. And so they're going to have to do everything they possibly can to try and win these seats from us because we're going to give this everything we got.
So Justin Pearson, how does our group of contrarians,
shout out to
those
Justin
people who
Pearson,
are contrary to what is happening in Washington, how do they support you?
Yes, thank you so much for that question. God bless all the contrarians because God knows we need it. In this moment in time, go to votejustinj.com. There you can sign up to get on our mailing list and join our action call next Wednesday, where we are going to have activations of phone banking, text banking. If you're in the South, come door knock with us. Come go into some of these counties and help us with our rural organizing strategies as well. And if you can donate $1, we'll definitely accept that. We're in the top 5 of Democratic fundraisers, according to last week's report from Act Blue. And so our campaign's got a lot of momentum. It's got a lot of energy. I will say, just side note, I was the only Black person to be in the top 5. And so that is both a point of pride and also a real concern for our Democratic Party. We need to support Black candidates in particular. But this is the moment, this is the time to fight for our voting rights, to fight for our democracy, and to get voices of new energy, new ideas into positions in the halls of power.
Thank you, Rep. Justin Pearson. You stay safe out there as you are in everybody's face. I saw you calling somebody, boy. I said, oh, boy,
Lord,
he's mad.
boy.
And you still with your brother. Yes, I saw that. And you still with your brother.
Absolutely. Here, I didn't think he could get down like that, baby.
Love you.
Okay, hold on. This y'all ready to get into? Lord. This right here. I used to have a picture of him. But they say that Kamala Kamala Harris is going to run again. Yeah. So shout out to her. She got to be better than Trump. Got to be. Oh, I wish she could bring President Barack Obama as her vice president. Ooh, wouldn't that piss him off? Okay, so y'all, we finna talk about the Supreme Court.
In 2014, a Texas billionaire named Harlan Crow quietly
Judge.
purchased 3 properties in Savannah, Georgia. One of them was a home where an elderly black woman lived. That woman's name is Leola Williams. Leola Williams is Clarence Thomas's mother. A sitting United States Supreme Court justice sold his mother's house to a GOP mega donor and told nobody for 9 years. That's not where this story ends. That's not even where it begins. By the end of this episode, you will not be asking, is Clarence Thomas corrupt? Because if you clicked on this, you probably already know the answer to that. But you will be asking, how did we let
That'll
this
work
happen
too, Belinda.
for over 30 years? I'm going to show you 5 things. 1, how a boy born into poverty in
So when I saw this is about as far as I got. This right here. And when I saw what he looked like as a kid, I said, oh yeah, he done been tampered. So him being in the Epstein files is not surprising. When I saw what he looked like back in the day. Yeah.
How a boy born into poverty in Jim Crow, Georgia was groomed, transformed, and weaponized by the conservative political machine. 2, the black woman who tried to warn us before he took his seat and what was done to silence her. 3, how he used the most powerful bench in the world to dismantle every legal protection his own community fought and died for. 4, the secret network of billionaires who've been purchasing his loyalty for over 2 decades to the tune of $4.2 million. And 5, why the man who says the Supreme Court is the most dangerous branch of government might be right about himself. I'm Andre, and this is Redacted History. Pinpoint, Georgia, a rural town outside of Savannah, Georgia, founded by freed slaves in 1896. And 5, why the man who says the Supreme Court is the most dangerous branch of government might be right about himself. I'm Andre, and this is Redacted History. Pinpoint, Georgia, a rural town outside of Savannah, Georgia, founded by freed slaves in 1896. And in 1940...
Let's read this. Pinpoint. Yeah. Let me see. It was settled in 1896 by former slaves from Usaba Green. Pinpoint factories, seafood. Okay, nothing. Okay, let's go.
It was still deeply Jim Crow. And into this town in 1948, in a wooden shack, Clarence Thomas was born. Clarence Thomas grew up entrenched in deep, deep poverty. His family's home had no indoor plumbing. His father left when Clarence was young, and his mother, Leola, worked to provide for the family as a domestic servant, making $10 an hour. When Clarence was 7 years old, their home burned down, and Leola would send Clarence and his brother to live with his maternal grandparents, specifically his grandfather, Myers Anderson, who Clarence would come to refer to as Daddy, because Clarence would grow to view Myers as his real father. Myers was the definition of strict, Catholic, and militant. He built a fuel delivery system and was a self-made black man in an era where the law made that nearly impossible. Clarence would go on to credit Myers with helping him become a man and instilling his values.
He would be very disappointed.
He was a patriarch and disciplinarian, and he molded Clarence into a man. The contradictions begin in the fact that Myers Anderson sacrificed everything so that Clarence Thomas could be a successful black man out of Pinpoint, Georgia. And Clarence would go on to squander that sacrifice. Clarence would attend Catholic schools paid for by Myers' church. And in these schools, the school kids would give Clarence a nickname that would stick with him mentally and emotionally for the rest of his life. They called him ABC, America's Blackest Child.
Oh, wow.
Now, I want you to hold on to
And
this
he
image
has
of
the
Clarence
nerve.
Thomas, because in a few minutes, I'm going to show you what he believed by the time he was 19 years old. And it will shock you, because it is the complete opposite of everything that he stands for today. With zero prior context,
he's in the Epstein files. Yeah. All that. How would Daddy feel about you being in the Epstein files? You are one of the worst, because you tampered with a 2-year-old allegedly in the Epstein files. They got blackmail on you that would destroy you. Ooh-wee. Yeah. Big Daddy would be mad. He would be very disappointed. He would probably, if he was strict as they say he was, he probably, yeah. He would probably do something like what Marvin Gaye Daddy did. If he knew that you had disgraced him the way you have. You in the Epstein files, Judge. It's despicable.
I think that Clarence Thomas was a lifelong conservative. If you just Googled him, that how he arrived at the Supreme Court is how he's been since birth. But that's simply not true at all. Before Clarence became conservative, he was a black radical, an activist, a follower of Malcolm X and the Black Panther Party. But what happened? Once I explain this transformation, everything will make sense. Clarence Thomas believed he wanted to go into priesthood, so he entered a seminary college in Missouri in 1967. His time in the seminary was short-lived, due in part to, in the spring of 1968, after Martin Luther King's assassination, Clarence overheard a white classmate say this: "Good, I hope the son of a bitch dies, and that's what they should do to all the niggas." Clarence said that witnessing his white classmates literally celebrating the assassination of Dr. King was one of the defining moments of his life. In 1968, Clarence transferred and entered the College of the Holy Cross, a small Catholic school in Worcester, Massachusetts, a school that to this day is only about 5% black. It's 1968. Think about what is happening in the United States. Martin Luther King is assassinated. We're in the Vietnam War. Malcolm X was assassinated 3 years prior. Fred Hampton would be assassinated 1 year later. The civil rights movement is in full swing. The radical movement is in full swing. Black American rebellion is at an all-time high. Young Clarence is radicalized. In college, he dressed in army fatigues and attended anti-war rallies. He helped run a clothing drive on behalf of the Black Panthers. He even founded the Holy Cross Black Student Union in the fall of 1968. He was pissed off about the racism in America. He was pissed off about segregation and what was happening to his people. I mean,
look
why
at him
wouldn't
now.
he be? In 1971,
This is what he wants us to go back to, y'all. This is what he voted for us to go back to. This clown was compromised because he's in the Epstein files. He's in the Epstein files. He threw black people under the bus because he is in the Epstein files.
In college, he dressed in army fatigues and attended anti-war rallies. He helped run a clothing drive on behalf of the Black Panthers. He even founded the Holy Cross Black Student Union in the fall of 1968. He was pissed off about the racism in America. He was pissed off about segregation and what was happening to his people. I mean, why wouldn't he be? In 1971, Clarence would graduate from Holy Cross and prepare for Yale Law School. Clarence arrived at Yale in 1971 wearing Malcolm X on his chest. He was angry, he was brilliant, and he believed the system was designed to destroy black people. All of that was true. But Yale was where something broke inside of Clarence. And what replaced it quite literally changed the course of American history. Here's where it gets complicated and dark. Clarence Thomas got into Yale Law School in part because of an affirmative action program. Yale wanted 10% of the incoming class to be black American students. And once he was there, he became convinced that his degree was worthless because of it. He later said that Yale gave black students a tainted credential, that the diploma meant inferior student in the eyes of the legal establishment. And that conviction destroyed him, and it became the lens through which he would destroy it for everyone else. The fact that he got into Yale due to affirmative action really irritated Clarence. He assumed that law firms wouldn't hire him, that they would find out his admission into law school was tainted, and they would look down upon him, as if he didn't
Isn't
earn
that
his spot.
crazy?
This is where you start to see the real shift in Clarence. His resentment towards his law school tenure morphed into ideology. He started to believe that civil rights legislation for black folks did more harm than good. After he graduates from Yale in 1974, he doesn't land the big law firm job, but he does land a job as Attorney General in Missouri under a man named John Danforth, a Republican. This was Clarence taking the first official step into the House of Conservatism. Understand this, everything I've said so far isn't something Clarence would hide. It isn't a secret. He would tell you all of these things. Now, everything that comes next, he'll pretend it never even happened. In my opinion, the real story starts in 1982, when Ronald Reagan gave Clarence a job. So when Clarence is 33 years old, our good friend Ronald Reagan nominates him to lead a commission. Not just any commission, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or the EEOC. You're probably familiar with it. This is an agency that exists to ensure civil rights are being enforced in the workplace. Ironic, right?
Ironic.
Clarence served in this role for 8 years, from 1982 to 1990. And in those 8 years, he operated like a parasite, destroying the organization from within. Here's a few examples. He switched from class action lawsuits to singular complaints, meaning if you couldn't prove on your own that you were wronged, you had no case. He allowed a backlog of 13,000 age discrimination cases to just expire. Those workers' claims simply ceased to exist. He made drastic cuts to enforcement staff and stopped the agency from being proactive. And people noticed this. He didn't just do this undercover. The Civil Rights Commission sent him formal complaints, which he repeatedly ignored. And his critics believed that Clarence wasn't running the organization, he was destroying it. This saga is a part of the Reagan administration that goes quietly under the radar. People don't really talk about it. It's wild when you really think about it, though. Reagan administration, one that gets a lot of flack for being racist, handed a black man the keys to an organization meant to stop discrimination. And what did that black man do with those keys?
Discriminate.
He lit the house on fire. It was almost like destroying this organization was a test for Clarence, an initiation of sorts. Because when he was done, he was handed a judge's seat on a federal bench. My question is, who was pulling the strings? Clarence didn't just decide to gut this agency all by his lonesome. Somebody was controlling Clarence Thomas like a puppet. And once I explain this next part, it'll start to make a little more sense. Everything was planned. In the 1980s, Clarence Thomas became affiliated with the Federalist Society, a group of conservative lawyers whose goal was to reshape the federal judiciary. The intellectual framework that Clarence used to dismantle the EEOC was created by the Heritage Foundation, an organization that Clarence's future wife, Virginia, who we will get to, would become
January
affiliated
6th.
with, and the architects of Project 2025. All of this was coordinated for years. placing a black conservative as the face of the dismantling of civil rights. Clarence was the ultimate fall guy. In 1991, after 24 years of service, Thurgood Marshall, the Supreme Court's first black justice and the man who argued Brown versus Board of Education, retired. And guess who Big Bush nominated to take his place? Clarence Thomas. Bush Sr. said that Clarence was the most qualified person for the job, which was simply untrue. Thomas had been a federal judge for only 16 months, but he had two things that made him the most qualified person in the country. He was a conservative, and he was black. Thurgood Marshall spent decades fighting for the rights of black people. He was a titan of the civil rights movement, a legend, and a barely qualified man who was being controlled by nefarious parties was in line to undo everything Thurgood worked for.
He took the bait and started messing with minors, babies, allegedly. He was compromised. Yeah. Bottom line. Big difference between Thurgood Marshall and this droopy-eyed clown. Token. I'm sorry. Let's go.
To black people. He was a titan of the civil rights movement, a legend, and a barely qualified man who was being controlled by nefarious parties was in line to undo everything Thurgood worked for. The Senate confirmation hearings for Clarence to officially become a Supreme Court justice were supposed to be run-of-the-mill and routine. But before the hearings could even finish, the FBI received a tip from a woman. Her name was Anita Hill, and what she had to say should have ended Clarence Thomas's career before it even started.
Professor, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Anita Faye Hill was born in Lone Tree, Oklahoma in July of 1956, and she was the youngest of 13 children. She grew up in a deeply impoverished Baptist family on a farm with no plumbing. Anita grew to be a brilliant woman. She attended Oklahoma State University on scholarship and then Yale Law School. These days, she's very private and a law professor. She's not a political operative with motivation to make up a story. In 1980, she graduated from Yale Law School. In 1981, she went to the Department of Education to work for Clarence. And in 1982, she followed him to the EEOC. For years, she didn't tell anyone what happened to her. She didn't want to. I'm going to tell you exactly what Anita Hill accused Clarence Thomas of doing, because in 1991, the media danced around it. The senators danced around it. And that was unfair and a miscarriage of justice. Under oath in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Anita reported the sexual advances began in the winter of 1982. Clarence repeatedly asked her out on dates after she declined. She made clear that she was not interested. He discussed pornographic films in graphic detail, descriptions of sexual acts, bestiality, group sex. He brought these topics up in the workplace repeatedly. He made references to his own manhood and the size of his anatomy. He referenced a character from a film, Long Dong Silver, by name in front of Anita. He once picked up a soda can from his desk, looked at it, and said, "Who put pubic hair on my Coke?"
It is only after a great deal of agonizing consideration that I am able to talk of these unpleasant matters to anyone except my closest friends. As I've said before, these last few days have been very trying and very hard for me. And it hasn't just been the last few days this week. It has actually been over a month now that I have been under the strain of this issue.
Anita continued working for him because she needed the job. She was a junior. He was her boss. And in 1983, a black woman at the EEOC did not have the luxury of simply walking away from a powerful supervisor. She eventually left his office. She stayed silent for years. She only came forward because the FBI asked her to directly. Anita Hill didn't want to be there. She was subpoenaed. She kept the secret for years and was most likely going to continue to do so because she knew what would happen. She knew what happens to black women in America who speak up about abuse, especially against powerful men. She knew what would happen if she spoke out against the machine, And unfortunately, she was right, because the men she was testifying in front of decided she was wrong before she even opened her mouth. There were 14 people judging Anita Hill. All 14 were white. All 14 were men. You see where this is going. Ted Kennedy was there. Strom Thurmond was there. Joe Biden was the committee chair. And the way they questioned her was interesting.
Can you tell the committee what was the most embarrassing of all the incidences that you have alleged?
You testified this morning that the most embarrassing question involved,
what's the
it's
law?
not too bad, women's large breasts. That's a word we use all the time. So that when you said you took it to mean we ought to have
get
sex,
the like
that
stuff.
was an inference, a mere allegation.
Please,
Senator,
hey,
I
me.
would suggest to you that for me, these are more than mere allegations. These are the truth to me. These comments are the truth to me.
Clarence Thomas's confirmation hearings reopened on October 11th, 1991,
Misogyny.
after the Hill accusation surfaced. The senators questioned her in humiliating detail. Senator Arlen Specter accused her of perjury. Senator Orrin Hatch accused Anita of fabricating her testimony from
They was
the
all
movie
in it
The
together.
Exorcist. Joe Biden controlled who testified and would later admit that he handled the hearings the wrong way. Clarence Thomas will return to the hearings and dodge all accountability. He wouldn't even acknowledge the allegations. Instead, he gave a statement. Quote, "This is a circus. It is a national disgrace. And from my standpoint,
should've
as
thought
a
about
black
that before
American,
you became a
as far
pervert.
as I'm concerned, it is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks who in any way can't think for themselves." Clarence Thomas, a man who spent his entire career pretending that racism did not exist, evoked the racism card the second things got inconvenient for him. And it worked. But Anita Hill wasn't alone. A woman named Angela Wright, another former EEOC employee, lobbied her own accusations against Clarence. Angela had her own stories about Clarence making unwanted sexual advances and asking her repeatedly to come to his apartment. She was subpoenaed to come to Washington and waited for 3 days, but was never called to testify and tell her story. Her deposition was submitted to the public in writing, so the public never saw it. 5 other women corroborated Anita's story, but they were never called. Who was making the decisions behind the scenes not to call these women and get to the bottom of this? It's almost like the powers that be decided that Clarence Thomas was going to become a Supreme Court justice no matter what. Clarence Thomas was confirmed. He won and Anita Hill lost. She lost for coming forth and telling her story, and she paid a price. She was now a social pariah. She received death threats, was investigated by the University of Oklahoma where she taught commercial law. Clarence got to just move on. He didn't speak about the case or the allegations for over a decade, until 2007 when he released his memoir, My Grandfather's Son, where he referred to Anita Hill as his most traitorous adversary and heavily implied that she was mentally unstable. Notice he never outright denied the allegations, just claimed racism and called her crazy. The Anita Hill hearings directly inspired the Year of Women in 1992, where a record number of women ran for Congress after watching a panel of 14 men publicly embarrass Anita. At the time of this recording, Anita Hill is 69 years old and a professor of social policy, law, and women's studies at Brandeis University. Anita Hill was right in 1991. And she's right in 2026. And the last 30 years have slowly proven to the public exactly who Clarence Thomas is. The Anita Hill debacle was only the first chapter in Clarence Thomas's career as a Supreme Court justice. Let's get to his actual time as a justice, because that's when things go further off the rails in plain sight. Between 1991 and 2016, Clarence Thomas didn't ask a single question from the bench during oral arguments, while lawyers were arguing the most serious topics in the country: civil rights, women's reproductive rights, workplace discrimination, etc. Clarence kept his mouth closed. It made him seem calculated, reasonable, pensive, knowledgeable, or so he thought. He finally started speaking in 2016 after Justice Antonin Scalia passed away. His previous silence made him seem more moderate, when in reality he was the most conservative justice on the bench. This is not my opinion, this is fact. Here are a few key rulings and Clarence's opinions that caught my attention. First, we get Shelby County versus Holder in 2013, where Clarence voted to gut Section 5 of the Voting Rights Act. This is the section that says that states with a history of voter suppression have to get federal clearance before changing voting laws. That makes sense, doesn't it? Not to Clarence. Within 1 day of this ruling, states like Texas and North Carolina moved to implement new voter restrictions like voter ID laws and district redraws. SFFA v. Harvard in 2023. Clarence voted with the majority to end race-conscious college admissions. What? He wrote a 60-page concurrence where he called affirmative action monstrous policy that stamps minorities with a badge of inferiority. And in this response, he never once mentioned how
so he forgot he was black. He forgot the hardship.
He's not a sitting Supreme Court justice without affirmative action. Then there's Dobbs v. Jackson in 2023. Abortion. As
y'all hit the like button.
Clarence joined the majority to overturn Roe v. Wade, effectively leaving women's reproductive rights up to the state.
Get the lights up. Double tap the face of your screen. Hit those 3 dots at the top right corner. It'll take you where you need to go to hit the like button. I have $100 goal every day until I get back monetized. And if I don't get it, I'm not going to go live. If I don't get any, I'm not going live. So get the likes up. I'm telling you ahead of time. That's going to be a part of my daily. And if anybody have a problem with that, I don't care. I'm just going to be honest. My time is important, just like yours is. I'm going to have to let y'all go along with the lies if y'all can't support me and the truth. Typo. Sometimes we forget. We forget what? Naturally, New Orleans. What are we forgetting? SAU scenarios. We are about to go back to Jim Crow days. And I know if I don't know nothing about it, y'all don't know nothing about it. I know more about it than a lot of you, unless you are, well, what we even thought was the truth ain't even the truth anymore. Typo, sometimes we forget. I don't know what you mean, but I know my life needs to get up. I've been here 2 hours and 4 minutes, 3 minutes. It is pinned to the top. What do you want me to pin to the top? My Cash App? I post, can you please pin to the top? You don't see it pinned to the top? To hit the like button. They need to hit the darn like. Yeah, it is still, it ain't moved. Do you see it pinned at the top? Yeah, and I'm trying to get back in. I'm having system issues, and I'm still trying to work this out, and y'all not even trying to help me.
But Clarence didn't stop there. He said that the court should consider overturning Griswold v. Connecticut from 1965. That's the right to contraception. Lawrence v. Texas in 2003, the right to same-sex intimate relationships. And Obergefell v. Hodges, 2015, the right to same-sex marriage. Notice he didn't mention Loving v. Virginia, the interracial marriage case. And then we come to what I believe is the single most fascinating part of Clarence Thomas's judicial career. What happened after January 6th, 2021? The January 6th House Committee wanted access to Donald Trump's White House records, and the case went to the Supreme Court. 8 justices voted yes, release the records. Only 1 justice voted no, Clarence Thomas. But why? Well, his wife, Virginia Thomas, was directly involved in the January 6th Stop the Steal movement.
Yeah.
Now, we have talked about what Clarence was doing on the bench as a justice, dismantling civil rights at every turn, acting as the nation's biggest hypocrite. But what was happening off the bench? Well, while Clarence was hard at work destroying the country, someone was paying for his vacations, his mother's home, and for decades of luxury experiences. And when you see the actual number lined up with the actual expenses, you're going to be very angry. So, who is Harlan Crow? He's a Texas-based real estate tycoon with an estimated net worth of around $2 billion. He leads a real estate firm that manages almost $30 billion in assets. And Crow puts a lot of his money into the Republican Party. He's one of the largest individual donors to the Republican Party in modern American history. He's given over $10 million in disclosed individual donations. And he became close friends with Clarence Thomas right after Clarence was confirmed to the Supreme Court in 1991. Harlan has brought Clarence expensive gifts, taken him on vacation, and showered him in luxuries. And nobody knew about this for 22 years. In 2014, Harlan's company quietly purchased 3 homes in Savannah, Georgia, and one of them belonged to Leola Williams, Clarence Thomas's mother. Harlan purchased the house for $133,000 and poured thousands more into the renovations and the property taxes. And Leola, who is still living by the way, got to live in the house rent-free. Harlan paid the property taxes all while Clarence sat on the Supreme Court. The Senate Finance Committee compiled a list of all the gifts from Harlan and other donors to Clarence Thomas. There's been private jet flights on Harlan's private jet, to be exact, to destinations including Greenbrier Resort and international travel, including a trip to Indonesia on a super yacht. Estimated value of jet travel alone is hundreds of thousands of dollars. Luxury fishing trips on Harlan's yacht off the Connecticut coast, multiple years. Real estate transactions, which is his mother's home. That's the $133,000 plus renovation costs. Annual property taxes on Thomas's mom's home, paid for by Crow's company. Private school tuition for Clarence's great-nephew, whom Clarence has been raising as a son. Crow paid tuition to a private Georgia boarding school, estimated $6,000 a year. The total estimated value across all donors, as calculated by the Senate Finance Committee, estimates that Clarence Thomas has received over 200 gifts valued at around $4.2 million, nearly 10 times a Supreme Court justice's annual salary. Clarence Thomas disclosed almost none of this for over 20 years. That seems like a huge conflict of interest, no? Clarence has also never disclosed his presence at Koch Network donor summits. In 2023, the New York Times reported that Clarence Thomas had been to at least 2 of these invitation-only meetings where some of the most powerful conservative donors in America congregate. These are all billionaires and multi-millionaires whose money and influence shape the political landscape of America. And Clarence was right there in the middle of it. The worst part about this, other than Clarence taking money in the first place, is the fact that he was taking money from men whose political interests aligned with his own.
Yep.
Was Clarence's Supreme Court vote compromised? Was he the one actually up there voting? Did women lose reproductive rights because Clarence Thomas wanted to fly business class instead of coach?
Yep.
And let's circle back to Clarence's wife really quick, because this alone should have gotten him and her both arrested and jailed. Virginia, or Ginny Thomas, is a conservative activist and board member of far-right organizations. She has stated publicly that she was at the Stop the Steal rally on January 6, 2021, in the weeks following the 2020 election. She sent 29 text messages to Mark Meadows, Trump's chief of staff, urging him to find ways to overturn the results. She referred to Biden supporters as the Biden crime family and called the election the greatest heist of our history. And Clarence,
what's she calling? What's going on now?
Question is this.
It's normal.
What did they get? What did Harlan Crow get? The Koch donors. Millions of dollars and gifts. What did they get in return? The answer is in the voting record. Myers Anderson gave Clarence Thomas every tool he'd need to be successful, to escape Pinpoint, Georgia, to escape Jim Crow. And what did Clarence Thomas do with that gift? He used it to open doors and close them right behind him. He helped dismantle affirmative action, even though without that he isn't a lawyer. He helped dismantle the Voting Rights Act, the exact legislation that gave his people in Pinpoint the ability to vote. He's accepted houses and millions from billionaires, even though he sits on the highest court in the land. And he used this seat on that court to vote to protect his treason his wife. This is a story about how enough money and enough influence can turn a potential hero into a villain. Clarence Thomas has sat on the Supreme Court for 35 years, and in that time he hasn't given many interviews or said much publicly at all. No explanation on the crimes he's committed or the bribes he's taken. He's been described as the most dangerous man on the Supreme Court, and in 2021 he agreed. He said the court may have become the most dangerous branch of government. He said this from the Supreme Court bench. He said it without irony. He has never explained the contradiction, and he probably never will. The files on Clarence Thomas are no longer redacted. They're wide open. We know the secrets. We've seen what's inside.
Yep.
And what happens next
He's in there.
up to us.
Most
the script
definitely.
of this video can be accessed on the Redacted
He is
History
most
Patreon.
definitely in there in one of the worst ways. The girl was no more than 3, and he did that at a church in Detroit. Sasha Raleigh had
And what did
told
Clarence
us
Thomas do with that gift?
he was
He
in
used
there.
it to
He
open
didn't.
doors and close
You don't
them right
remember
behind
him doing anything
He
to
helped
him, but he
dismantle affirmative
definitely
action, even though without that
knew
he
he
isn't a
was there.
lawyer. He helped dismantle the Voting Rights Act, the exact legislation that gave his people in Pinpoint the ability to vote. He's accepted houses and millions from billionaires, even though he sits on the highest court in the land. And he used this seat on that court to vote to protect his treason his wife. This is a story about how enough money and enough influence can turn a potential hero into a villain. Clarence Thomas has sat on the Supreme Court for 35 years, and in that time he hasn't given many interviews or said much publicly at all. No explanation on the crimes he's committed or the bribes he's taken. He's been described as the most dangerous man on the Supreme Court, and in 2021 he agreed. He said the court may have become the most dangerous branch of government. He said this from the Supreme Court bench. He said it without irony. He has never explained the contradiction, and he probably never will. The files on Clarence Thomas are no longer redacted. They're wide open. We know the secrets. We've seen what's inside. And what happens next is up to us. The script of this video can be accessed on the Redacted
And his
History
wife
Patreon,
don't care
and
nothing
we don't
about that.
keep knowledge.
Hell, is
You can
she?
find that
Yes, she.
script
Not the
for free. You do not.
She a part of the January 6th. She was on that committee, though. Most definitely. Well, what is the other one I have about him? Hold on. Yeah, I'm. Respect black people. Let me see what this one says. What is he saying?
72 years ago today, the Supreme Court handed down the decision that is the foundation of every right that black Americans fought for and won in the civil rights movement. But one black man who owes everything to that movement has spent his entire career trying to undo it. That man is Clarence Thomas. On May 17, 1954, the Supreme Court ended racial discrimination in public schools in the case of Brown versus Board of Education. But it would take another decade to pass the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and a year after that, the Voting Rights Act of 1965. That movement made Clarence Thomas possible, and Justice Thurgood Marshall must be turning in his grave to see his successor destroy it. The Brown case is what allowed Thomas to become the first black student at an all-white high school in Georgia. Another case, Loving versus Virginia, would allow him to divorce his black wife and marry a white woman. And a third case, Sweat v. Painter, guaranteed black students a seat at the table of legal education, setting the stage for Thomas to attend Yale Law School. The civil rights movement gave Clarence Thomas every opportunity in his life. Even his current job as a Supreme Court justice came because of affirmative action. And how did he repay that debt? By spending decades on the court dismantling the very laws and policies that made his life possible. Just in the past few weeks, he voted to allow 2 southern states, Louisiana and Alabama, to take away majority black congressional districts. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Clarence Thomas is 77 years old. He spent almost half his life, 35 years, longer than any of his colleagues, ruining our lives as a Supreme Court justice. He's the poster boy for why we need term limits on the Supreme Court. And he's one more reason why we can't sit out on any election, because the people elected are the people who select and approve the judges with lifetime tenure. How sad that on this solemn anniversary, one of the greatest threats we face is from a bitter black man who forgot where he came from.
Ooh. Ooh. Shots fired. Shots fired. Hold on. I'm trying to see what, yeah, I don't want a long one. I don't want a long one.
Leading the way, and also Donald Trump is having the tables turned on him as he is getting brutally mocked, bullied, and humiliated. This is how it's done. Give him a taste of his own medicine. California Governor Gavin Newsom leading the way and also giving a powerful speech, putting the screws into Donald Trump and twisting it. California Governor Gavin Newsom posts an AI image of Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein surrounded by sewage and trash in the reflecting pool, I think, by Epstein Island, an Epstein Island reflecting pool. And then Newsom writes, "Maggots love the swamp." Donald Trump and Epstein being disgusting together. Newsom then posts an image of Donald Trump's hand that is rotting, and Newsom says, "Guess who?" Then California Governor Gavin Newsom posts an image of the atrocious things Donald Trump is doing to the reflecting pool, how bad it looks. Then Newsom posts, "Dumb and Dumber. These two ruined our great American economy." And it's a photo of Dumb and Dumber, Scott Bessent, and Donald Trump. And let me show you what Governor Newsom said, where he gave a very powerful speech, and he explained how the corruption from the Trump regime is sick. He's negotiating against himself right now for a $10 billion settlement that comes from you, the taxpayer, and it doesn't stop there. They're out for themselves and the Trump family, not the American people, and the cuts from HR 1 prove it. Let's play this clip.
Oh, come on, it's just sick. The graft, the corruption, seeing his son in China, come on. You know, it's sick. He's negotiating against himself to take $10 billion of your money, and there's still people on TV counting this every single night. They know who they are. One of them was on the screen earlier. It's a disgrace. Negotiating with himself, $10 billion settlement, $230 million that he wants from the DOJ, not just the $10 billion from the IRS. Do we have to go through the 8 large-scale golf and development deals he's done across the globe? You think for a second, folks that got off Air Force One yesterday in Beijing don't have an economic agenda for themselves that will enrich members and associates of the Trump family? I mean, in the most benign version of it, how about all those poor souls that put $100 down for the gold cell phone and haven't received it? The sneakers. I'm not even going to World Liberty Financial. I'm not even talking about crypto. I'm not talking about $400 million. Oh, wait, not $400 million Qatari planes.
Next up, you have Governor Newsom talking about how redistricting in red states is just Jim Crow 2.0, stone cold racism being led by the racist in chief, Donald Trump. Powerful words here from Governor Newsom. Let's play it.
This is Jim Crow 2.0. It's sick. Stone cold racism in a scale I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. Never have seen in my lifetime. It's all happening. Bring us back to a pre-1960s world. It's jaw-dropping what's happening. It was jaw-dropping what Governor Landry did. He suspended a primary election where tens of thousands of people had already voted. Why? To redistrict 2 districts to eliminate black representation. I can't believe that we're experiencing this. My parents talked to me about this. I said, well, thank God it's not going to happen in my lifetime. And it's happening in real time. Anti-woke is anti-black. All these attacks on DEI, it's anti-black. Level of racism is sick. Rewriting history, censoring historical fact. A number of African Americans have been eliminated from key positions and posts. The Pentagon and elsewhere, it's sick. It's happening in the United States of America in the open. And it needs to be called out. So forgive me for reacting this way. And I feel a deep responsibility to do something about this, and nothing to do with me as governor, just as a human being. This is not why our founding fathers lived and died. It was about the expansion of liberty, expansion of freedom, including more and more people. And we're seeing exactly the opposite take shape under this administration.
And then Governor Newsom says what I think, or I hope we all agree with, single payer is needed. We need universal health care. And here he talks about how single payer is inevitable. And he says, look at the work that Obama did. Look at the work that Biden did. At every step, Donald Trump and his sycophants have tried to block the American people from getting health care. He said single payer is inevitable, but what we have to do is make sure we stay focused, because you've got Trump and his regime sycophants trying to block it at all points and lie about their health care plan when they're never going to deliver anything. It's all fraud when it comes from the Trump regime. Let's play this clip.
I think single payer is inevitable in this country, period, full stop. The healthcare system is simply devouring the public sector and devouring the private sector budgets. There's no alternative from my perspective. I call total BS on all the fake tinkering that the Republican Party claims, or some new idea and proposal that's coming out next week. Donald Trump. For 10 years, he's been talking about that since he came down the escalator. Nothing in this space. I appreciate and applaud what Nancy Pelosi was able to achieve, and what President Obama was able to achieve, what President Biden was able to achieve in expanding the support, and what we're doing here in covered California that I think is next level, and what we did to advance even further and beyond. But I do think the system itself is simply, you talk about structural
Everybody
problems.
can do it, something
It's
except Trump.
inevitability. So the question is, can a state do it? A state cannot do it alone. It's going to require a level of partnership and largesse of the federal government that is not in evidence, that is not an indictment of the vision, the proposal, the direction. As I said, cannot happen without the largesse of the American people, Congress, and the president. And by definition, it requires significant waivers and reforms at the federal level. And I assure you, on the basis of the efforts when I was governor, working in the beginning of my administration with then President Donald Trump, who immediately rejected our outreach on many of these waivers. There's a lot of letters I'll remind you of, some that were responded to, some that weren't, and I think it's even more challenging now in that respect. I just think you may want to have if that's the only strategy you have for healthcare, you may want to have a backup plan. That's all. Even though it's the right, I think, and inevitable.
Now, I want to start today's video with the best overall mattress, which is the Helix Midnight Lux. Now, this is the epitome of luxury.
It will be inevitable in this country. No question. Question of when, I don't know.
Then Governor Newsom posts the following. Slumpy Sean Hannity on Fox News will not cover this because he is busy sucking up to Trump in China, but I have balanced the budget. It is balanced not just this year, but next year and the year after. Trump can't even comprehend the beauty of my plan because he is the, quote, king of debt with his huge deficit. Keeps on growing. He has no plan, just like Iran. My plan is amazing, like me. All for the great people of California, Governor Newsom. Yes, another balanced budget in California while Donald Trump runs up the debt, while the 30-year Treasury note yields are at over 5%. And as we encourage.
All right, Donald Trump is manically posting again as this war spirals. He just posted an AI photo of him walking with an alien dog. You're not going to make us forget that you started another failed war.
Right.
All right, let me run you through the bizarre series of events that have happened today. Donald Trump just gave a really eerie video to this rededicates religious convention that is full of absolute lunatics. And then right after giving this video with a Bible under his hands,
What?
Donald Trump sent out multiple escalatory threats towards the country of Iran, essentially saying that we are right about to restart, relaunch, and re-escalate this war. I have been saying for weeks and weeks on this show that there are only about two pathways Donald Trump has here in regards to the Iran war. Pathway number one is a dramatic escalation in which he begins to strike a lot of civilian infrastructure. I do not want that to happen. Of course, that is despicable, but it is what he's been threatening for months and months, and he's created an escalation ladder that he can't really hop off of. So if he tries to strike Iran again, he knows that he can't just do the same thing he tried the first, the second, the third time. He knows that he has to go all in, especially considering the fact that our missiles are rapidly depleting and there are other conflicts going on. So Donald Trump knows that he will have to do a dramatic final salvo and commit war crimes in a despicable, despicable manner. Or there is option number two, which is a dramatically humiliating climb down for Donald Trump. You know, he's really used this grandiose terminology about us winning, getting all of these concessions, and he may just have to climb down without getting anything. They'll still toll the straits. Iran still has enriched uranium buried in their rubble. It's still all there. So when Donald Trump is, when he is in one breath holding a Bible under his hands and talking about religious stuff for Rededicate 250, then in the next breath talking about how the big final strikes are coming, I'm sorry, but I don't believe this person actually cares about justice or human dignity or any of the core